Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's so good to have you guys back on here. So today's video is going to be like a story time. Yeah. Today's story time is going to be about my positive birth story. So as you already know, I have a baby, I have a daughter. I had her in March 2022, and I'm going to be telling you guys the whole gist. So we just moved to this town, we're new there, and I'd moved hospitals as well. So I didn't know anyone that had given birth in this hospital. So there was one day I went to make my hair at this lady's house. She's Nigerian, and I can remember her just coming to like pick me up from downstairs because she lived on the top floor to her apartment, and then I was like, it was in March already, so I was like full time already, and I was just like waiting for baby to come. Like I was 6 weeks pregnant already, and I was waiting for baby to come, and she was just plaiting my hair, and she and her husband, they speak Yoruba, so I don't understand Yoruba, and she was telling her husband that in Yoruba that this, this lady is pregnant, or like she's heavily pregnant, and she's here to make her hair. Like, how is she going to like cope, you understand? So it was when her husband left to pick the kids from school. That was when she was telling me in English what she and her husband would say, and I was laughing, and she was like, she was so surprised at my strength. But the whole thing that gingered me to make my hair was that I didn't want to look a mess while in labor. Yes. She's a nurse, and she happened to work in the hospital where I was gonna give birth. So I did ask her. I was like, "How is this hospital like? Do you know anybody that's given birth in this hospital?" And my goodness, she told me horrible things about the hospital. Honestly, they were so horrible. She told me she knew of three ladies that had given birth in the hospital, and two had lost their babies. I mean, like they had stillbirth, or or something. And the last one, her her experience wasn't nice. And I could just remember, after all of that, um my pastor's wife, whenever she called me, she would always like, make, like, say this word, that you not be a victim of someone else's mistake. And that prayer is so powerful when you are at the mercy of someone's care, when someone else have to look after you. So yeah, let's get into the backstory. So I had my baby in March 31st. I wasn't expecting this girl to like April, honestly, but she surprised me anyways. And I can remember that night, I just used the toilet, and I'd seen my bloody show. So I called the hospital, and they asked me to come in. But now, this leading to that night, I tested positive for COVID. My husband had tested positive for COVID. So that meant that I had to go in alone, which was really, really sad, anyways. But yeah, I went in alone, and I was put in this COVID ward. Mind you, before then, like, I always knew that my girl was gonna come early, because like she was just giving me signs. There was even one time, like few weeks before that night, we'd gone to visit a family friend, and his wife, she's a retired midwife, and she could just see how I was behaving that day. She was like, "Oh my goodness, hope Judith, hope you're not gonna have your baby in this house, because if you do, then I have to, like, go and get all of my equipment I've locked up just to help you deliver this baby." So we're just joking about it. But anyway, she didn't come that day, but it was pretty tense on that day. So I'd always knew that she was going to come early. So now back to the present. So back to the present. So I was put in a COVID ward inside the labor ward. So and I was looked after regularly, which was so nice. Like it was really nice because it was quite an isolated area because I mean COVID. So um that night I'd gone in like 1 a.m. each yeah, into the hospital. And the funny thing was when the midwife came in and she told me I was in labor because I was not in so much pain. Like I was not in so much pain. The only thing I could say I saw or I saw was like my bloody shoe and my bloody shoe. Yeah, so I wasn't in any pain. I was having contractions, yes, but they were not serious. Like they were not very painful. So when she came in and told me that I was in labor, I was so shocked. And she said my waters were gone. Like my waters were gone. And I'm in my head. I'm like, I thought when they say you like um how do I put it, like you know when a woman is pregnant and she says um her water don't burst, like if you've had a baby you understand what I'm talking about. Water don't burst. I felt like you just have like water gushing out of you, you understand, and that means like you're in labor. But I never experienced any of that, like only for her to tell me that my water leaked out. So so the term that you'd lost your water doesn't necessarily mean that your water is just going to like burst out of you. No, so it can leak out of you. So that was what had happened to me, and I did not know. So thankfully my bloody show came, so it gave me a clue to like call and say, oh, this is what had happened. So they told me that I was in labor and they moved me to a delivery suite, and I was being monitored regularly. I had these amazing midwives, three of them. They were quite young. I think one out of them was like a student midwife. So I could just remember her just, having conversations with me regularly, and trying to get my mind off things that were happening in that moment. So yeah, then I remember a doctor coming in to check how I was dilating, and goodness me, that lady was so rough. I know checking a woman when she's dilating or checking how well she's dilating is not like a pleasant thing, but trust me, this lady was rough. Like she just shook her hands and she was, she didn't care if I was in pain or anything. But the funny thing was that I could see my midwives talking within themselves and saying that this lady shouldn't be doing this like this, because they had checked if I was dilating as well, and they were not as rough as this doctor was. Like they were so gentle, and it was so nice. They were talking me through the whole process and all of that. And three of them stepped out, the midwives, they stepped out. And the next thing I saw was they cut this doctor out, and she was out of my room. Like I didn't see her the whole time again. She was just out of there. And my midwives came back in and they were like telling me that no, your pain should not be disregarded. I mean, like if you're saying you're uncomfortable with this thing, then you should stop and not just continue. I was like, okay, thank you for speaking out for me, because I was alone and I was in my most vulnerable state because I was so weak. So yeah, that was it. And also I had the epidural as things progressed. And I could remember again the lady that was doing it, we kept going back and forth. She would ask me if I was in pain. I would tell her, oh, I'm in pain. And she would argue with me and be like, you're not supposed to be in pain. No, you're not in pain. From nowhere, my midwife was like, you have to do your job properly, because if you're doing your job properly, then she shouldn't be feeling pain. But now my patient is telling me that she's in pain, so do your job properly. And yeah, that was it. Like, they spoke up for me, which was really, really good, and I'm so, so grateful to them. And in that moment as well, like, when you're having a baby, you need somebody's hands to like hold, and like, it's sort of like push all the pain to sort of. And these ladies, they were there. I held their hands throughout so tight. They did not complain. um they took pictures of me, took pictures of my baby when my baby came out, and it was just so nice. Even though I wasn't there with like somebody I knew, my husband or anything, but in that moment I did not feel alone, because number one, the Holy Spirit was there with me. Yes, the Holy Spirit was there with me. And number two, God used those midwives to, to just stand in, because God knew that I needed them in that moment. And the incredible thing was that these three ladies, they were done with their shift, because I'd come in midnight, and I had my baby in the morning, and they were done with their shift, but they did not leave me alone. Like, they were there with me, looked after me, checked me, and they're always going to be like a part of my birth story, birth journey. There's no way I can talk about that experience and not talk about this wonderful ladies. Honestly, there's no way. They were so, so nice to me. So yes, that is my positive birth story here. They're actually nice people. The last thing I think anybody wants is when you're sick, or when you're vulnerable, and you're at the mercy of somebody that isn't human. Yeah, I think that's the last thing. But I was so, so thankful to God that um my birth story was incredible. My birth story was fantastic. It was really, really fantastic. So yes. And the next morning, because I had to stay in the hospital, in the hospital the next day, this lady, this midwife, she came to check on me again, and check on baby, and just to ask how we were doing. And I can't forget that in a hurry. No, I cannot. I cannot. I'll forever ever be grateful to them. Yes, because they made my birthing so, so easy. So, so easy. So yeah, that's my story time for today. I'll see you guys in my next video. Please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. Bye guys.